Hello, welcome to episode 2 of For the Record with Unit 26 Studios. So we're on second week already.
Second week, made it to week 2.
I know. I know these things, sometimes you just start and that's it. You just stop, don't you? Straight away. But no, I like the last one.
It was really good.
I think I learned quite a lot from it as well. So I'm quite looking forward to just doing these and asking you questions.
I'm not going to pick my nose on this one.
Yeah. I know, I felt bad for not taking that out. The WD-40 seems to have finally sunk into the chairs as well. They're not squeaking as much.
Not squeaking at all, is it?
Yeah.
It's quite good.
So yeah, how was your week?
It's good. Back to teaching this week.
Yeah.
I did a few Logic lessons this morning.
Right, fair enough.
Teaching the secrets of tempo changes in Logic.
Because you're Pro Tools, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much, mostly. But everything, really. I used Logic before Pro Tools.
Did you?
I used Cubase originally.
I started on Cubase.
They're all the same, aren't they?
Well, it wasn't until Cubase 6, and that was me out.
Yeah.
I think that was a lot of people out at that point.
When it first on a PowerPC Macs, remember they were called Power PCs?
Right.
That was the last Mac I had a Cubase on.
Right.
An 8086 PowerPC.
Oh, mine was well after that.
Which was, I don't know what year that was. But
No,
it was still using an
I
ACA.
started on Cubase 4, I like that, and then went to Cubase 5, and I like that, and then Cubase 6 come out, and I just don't know what was happening with it. So
I don't think I got as far as Cubase 6.
At that point, I decided that was me on Logic.
So on the Super Styling Groove Armada, that was a Cubase mix.
Was it?
Yeah.
Right.
Off a laptop with 8 tracks of audio on it.
Yeah.
We had 8 tracks of audio, the vocals were in the laptop, and everything else was MIDI.
Right.
Pretty much.
I think all the DAWs at the minute are as good, aren't they? It just depends which one you know to use, really.
That's what I say to the students as well. They're all pretty much the same, really.
Yeah.
Different ways. They all have Logic and Ableton are getting closer and closer, aren't they?
I think Logic have adopted a lot of Ableton stuff in the
Pro
new
Tools
release,
is lagging behind a little bit with them on certain features. Like they haven't even got a chord generator in Pro Tools yet.
Yeah, I always struggled with like MIDI instruments on Pro Tools. That's why I've always shied away from it.
They've improved a lot.
Have they?
But you need more third-party ones. The built-in DigiDesign ones are not that great. They're okay.
Yeah, I think that was why I kind of like went to Logic, really, because you get a lot with it.
A lot more with it, yeah. And me too, I still use Logic to create and to write.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are doing that with Ableton now as well, aren't they? Use Ableton and then use Pro Tools to mix it afterwards.
I use Ableton on Rewire mostly.
Yeah.
I don't arrange much in Ableton, because the arrangement page annoys me a little bit.
Right, yeah.
And in all of them, I find new Logic X is the main screen's a bit cluttered.
In Logic?
Yeah, having your mixer at the bottom, your stuff at the sides, same in Ableton as well. I like Pro Tools, it's cleaner.
Yeah.
You need 2 monitors though with Pro Tools.
I find with Pro Tools, and I've not used it a lot, but when I do use it and look through videos and stuff, you can do a lot more from one screen
From the main page.
in Pro Tools than you can in any other one.
You don't
I think
have
that's why
constant
it's
edit
used
windows
so
open.
much. Yeah.
I really like that in Pro Tools, that everyone complains about the MIDI, but I love the fact that I can zoom in on my arrange page and have my audio file, like a drum loop, for example, and have my kick drum MIDI underneath it, and I can see exactly where my MIDI notes are in relationship to my audio file.
Yeah.
So when I'm programming beats and things like that, it's really easy to make sure slightly off, slightly on, whatever, you can match the live drums up, match the drum loop, whatever you're doing. Without getting into your groove template grids and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You just do it by eye really quickly.
Right, yeah. No, I do need to spend more time with Pro Tools because I think it is one of those things I should know how to use. Although I'm quite liking the idea of Luna at the minute. You've not seen it, have you?
No.
But yeah, it's Universal Audio's own one that they've brought out recently, and I think that's got a lot of good features as well, so I'm quite tempted to try that one.
I mean, it was telling me about another Steinberg one. I can't remember what it's called now. It's a bit like Sibelius for Steinberg.
Right.
And he does all he's more of a composer though, and it's a lot more score editing and stuff. He's using that for everything. He said it's better than Sibelius, better than everything. And
right, yeah.
He's writing all his stuff in that at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's what you like, isn't it?
I think that is the thing these days. It's just what you like.
Yeah.
So because they are.
For me, I pick the best out of all of them, I think.
What, Pro Tools?
Just
you use the best
bits.
parts of each one.
I'll use Logic for certain things, and then I'll use Ableton for certain things.
Right, yeah.
And I'd end up with it all in Pro Tools for mixing, which I think Pro Tools is the best at mixing. It's the best.
Yeah, because we was having a chat a while ago as to whether Logic introduces its own sound in the mixing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I've heard a lot of people say that Pro Tools mixes sound better than Logic mixes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you probably know better than I do if there's any kind of merit
Definitely
to that.
I've done over the years. I think as the Macs get better, Logic gets better.
Yeah.
The thing with Pro Tools is it's always used to run off cards. Now it's running off the native processor mostly in most rigs, and I think then they're pretty much comparable.
Right,
It's all down to your Mac and how fast it is.
And how hard you can handle, yeah.
I've noticed since I switched back to native again now, after my TDM rig. The odd crackle and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, and I reboot and it goes away.
Yeah.
Logic's always done that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a cost of native audio until your Mac gets faster and faster. If you had a new Mac Pro for 15 grand, probably wouldn't have these problems.
You can run NASA off one of them, can't you? $7.5 grand for a standard Mac Pro. That was an eye opener, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, hopefully the new M1 ones will be cheaper eventually.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's going to be some teething issues with them for a while, though.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think there's definitely a reason they didn't
Take
put
a while
it in
for
any
all
of
the
the
manufacturers.
Pro. Yeah, I think there's a reason they just didn't put it in any Pro features yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, hopefully, I think the M1, if the M1 chip is as good as everyone says it is, hopefully that could be a massive improvement for studios.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are using the Mac Minis now, aren't they, to run the studios off?
Yeah, it was the same guy last night saying exactly the same. He's just bought a new Mac Mini and he's running it off that. It's great. He loves it.
Yeah.
But only got 2 ports on it, hasn't it?
That is the issue, yeah.
The old ones had 4. I don't get it why they've only made 2.
No, well, they did it with the 13-inch MacBook Pro as well. That's got 2 as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a joke, really. It just makes you buy the next model up when they release it, doesn't it? That's all it's about. So.
Yeah. Very good at making you spend the money where they want you to.
Yeah. And they've got you, really.
Well, yeah.
They've had me since the bloody 90s.
They have. Well, I have as well. I was saying, because I've had a lot of people tell me to go to Windows for stuff because it's easier to get everything. But it's my phone, like my iPad, the computer, the watch. They've literally got me everywhere. So, iTunes.
Yeah. Hello, I think iTunes users are in the minority now, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I'm paid. I think I'm one of the only people paying for an Apple monthly subscription for music.
I get it free with my phone.
What, your Apple's? Yeah, a lot of people do now.
I get it free with EE, so.
But I'm thinking of scrapping that and getting Spotify anyway, because I use Spotify more with adverts than I do Apple, so.
Yeah, me too. Every link I get is Spotify these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what have you been working on at the minute?
A band called Dirty Circus. They've been around for years. They had a deal, they were signed to Universal about 10 years ago, and then they got dropped and they split. A Manchester band, back together again. They got a little deal and self-financing themselves.
Right.
Indie dance.
Right.
In a good old-fashioned way. So I'm at the moment triggering all the drum tracks, quantizing and triggering them all with electronic sounds.
Yeah.
And not using any of the live kit mics.
Not any at all?
No, the mixes are a bit too indie sounding.
Right, okay.
So I might put a tiny bit of room in there.
Yeah.
But not much really. The last track I replaced all the live drums with 909 samples.
Right, yeah.
Programmed the hi-hat over the top and they loved it.
Fair enough.
And they're coming in on the weekend to do some guitar overdubs and a sax, apparently.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then they've got an album for me to do. So this be the 3rd track I'm on now. So it should be ongoing, hopefully.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is the teaching going well?
Well, teaching's all right. Back to it this week.
So kids off last week then?
Yeah, my college had a reading week last week.
Right.
And I had to mark all their assignments.
Yeah.
And now, for some reason, term 2 starts, semester 2, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Started this week. So I was back on it. I've got a couple of new modules, career development.
Right, fair
interesting.
Career development. I mean, I don't even know where you'd start with that as a course, because especially under a pandemic and no gigs and
exactly.
Where do you go for a career here?
That's the big problem with a lot of them are in the live side of the industry.
Yeah,
and they're trying to do events and plan events and things like that, and you just can't do anything, can you? You can't plan anything.
No, and it's like even planning is bad in itself because you plan all this stuff and then you're about to do it and it gets cancelled anyway. So you kind of spend a lot of time wasting your time.
Anything. Now, they've all cashed in their insurance a couple of times already and everyone's just waiting now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be a while, I think we're looking at June, July, aren't we, before everything's properly open?
At least, I think,
Yeah. We're doing another live stream tomorrow, so Friday, which could be quite good.
Yeah.
In fact, I think once you're watching this, it'll be happened already. But
that was interesting today. There's PRS, though, charging people for live streams. You see that?
Yeah, I saw it. Did you text me?
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to read it. What was that about?
They're putting a 20% levy on anything ticketed, any live streams that are ticketed.
Right, okay.
Over 500 quid.
Right.
So they're charging you 20%.
How can they do that?
PRS license. And otherwise you'll get blocked on Facebook or whatever.
Is that just for covers or?
I guess, but for across the board, even if you're doing your own songs.
So if you do a live stream playing your own songs, PRS are now going to charge you 20% of your ticket sales?
And venues are complaining, saying, we've already bought a PRS license for our venue.
Yeah.
And we've also bought a streaming license so we can stream from our venue.
Yeah.
But now they're having to pay an extra cost on top of it.
No way.
'Cause quite a lot of venues have started streaming.
Yeah, I've seen that. There's a lot of venues in Manchester that started
They're the
doing
ones that are getting hit.
Right.
But even if you're doing it for charity,
Bloody hell.
if you're a live stream selling tickets to raise money for unemployed roadies or whatever,
PRS want 20%.
PRS want 20% of it.
Wow.
Otherwise, Facebook will be blocking you and
Well, I think
muting
Facebook
the
block
audio.
you anyway, don't they?
Yeah,
So it's
they
inevitable, regardless of whether you pay PRS or not.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if you do pay PRS and you put it out to Facebook, Facebook will do its best to make you pay them to put it out anyway. So
yeah.
it's ridiculous, isn't it? Social. I love that term, social media. The places where they do everything in their power to make everything you post unseen.
I don't understand how it works properly. I thought YouTube collected PRS anyway, so if you broadcasted through YouTube, you give them a list of the songs you played and they'll pay the PRS out to the right people.
Yeah, I thought that's how it worked.
So that's how it worked.
So PRS are basically saying they want paid them twice.
Yeah.
From everyone.
So, yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Get gigs back as soon as possible.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's live stream. No, it's been about a month, about 2 months since we've done one, so...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the band play.
Yeah, I think tomorrow's the kind of the start now. Everything's now working, so we've got the lights and everything working
See what
properly.
this room sounds like with a full band in it.
Yeah, loud. Very loud.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to getting that all going again tomorrow. And then I've got quite a few projects I'm working on at the minute, which are been ongoing for quite a while now. Nearly finished the album for Cry for Mercy. I'm about 3 songs off now.
Good.
So I'll be sending that to them this week.
Good.
So should we get to some questions? Because I've got some questions for you
go
this
on.
week. So, right.
Yeah.
One question I have is when you're recording drums, right?
Yeah.
So say you've got 10 mics on the drums. Would you record at a level that is as if you're mixing the drums? So would your kick level be relative to your snare and your overheads?
All my input levels are as hot as I can get them.
So you don't think about that at all?
No, that's why I like to have a rig with no latency.
Yeah.
I put my levels in as hot as I want at the end, and then the returns is my balance.
Right, okay.
So my faders will be pulled down, I'll have EQ, I'll have compressors and stuff on my returns.
Right.
Drums I compress and EQ on the way in as well.
Right,
most of the time these
so do I.
days. Yeah. I don't most things, but drums one of the things you do compress and EQ on the way in.
Yeah.
A little bit. I don't overdo it. I don't roll all the bottom end off the overheads, but I'll reduce a little bit off it on the way in, just to help the mixing, really.
Yeah. No, because I was listening to a podcast and I can't remember who was talking about it, but they were basically saying that when they pull all the faders to 0 on the desk, they want it to sound like it's been leveled. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
but your signal to noise ratios are all wrong. That's the important thing. That's what people who are not sound engineers don't realise when they're mixing. A lot of my students are the same. Your signal to noise ratio matters. Like you bring your input level in as hot as you can.
Yeah.
Because that helps you all the way down the line. I read some interview with a producer the other day, and he said that he likes all his faders to be around 0 because that's when they got the most responsive. He doesn't like it if they're down the bottom. Because, it's a logarithmic scale, isn't it? So it gets finer tuning down the bottom. Mm-hmm. But that's relative to your ears as well. And faders are designed like that because that's how your ears work.
Yeah.
When something's quieter, you need to turn it up relatively 10 dB to make it cut through in the mix. If something's up in the loudest thing in the mix, you turn it up 10 dB, you're really going to hear it. But something's really quiet in the mix, you turn it up 10 dB, it's probably about right.
Yeah.
That's why faders have got a logarithmic scale like that.
Right, yeah.
They didn't used to have, I don't think, in the back of the day. You used to
I
have
remember
linear
seeing
faders.
some old videos when they were mixing or recording on SSL desks and stuff like that, and everything's just in the red, and you're just like...
Yeah, you do. That's analog desk. You have to. And SSLs sound better when they're in the red.
Because wasn't it a thing when tape first went to digital, the issue was they were hitting it as hard as they would hit the analog consoles.
Yeah.
And then because tape is digital, it sounded really harsh.
Yeah.
So a lot of the mixes weren't translating, no one could work out why.
Yeah.
Until they started bringing the levels down massively.
It's with digital, there's no headroom, is there? Once you go into the red, you're into distortion.
Yeah.
With analog, it slowly goes into distortion.
Rounds it off.
And it's not the same for every bit of kit. Some analog desks, as soon as your red light flashes, it sounds awful.
Yeah.
But some analog desks, you really have to get the red lights pumping to get the proper good sound out of it.
So it's just weird because I would never have thought that. Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm looking at a desk and I've just mic'd up a drum kit and everything's in the red, I don't know, I would naturally assume it's wrong just by looking at it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you do, it's scary.
Yeah.
APIs are the classic for that, really. You have to drive them in the red, they don't sound right unless you do.
Really?
And especially tracking drums through APIs, every single's not just flashing red permanently on red.
Permanently red.
With an SSL, you flash the peak light a bit. You don't have it on all the time.
Right, yeah.
The knees as well. It's fine if it's flashing a bit. You're hitting the peaks, and it's just you get a little flicker of the peak light. That's fine. That's
so how do you know if you've gone too far then? Just
hear
the
it.
sound?
Yeah, you just hear it, yeah.
So you're not looking at the desk for stuff like that?
Nah.
Right.
Use your ears all the time. I'm looking at the meters on the tape machine.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at the input level to the desk so much.
Yeah.
You are looking at the first thing I look at is my mic gain, and then it comes through my channel and process it, and then I output it usually through another fader. On an analog desk, you have the small fader giving you level to tape.
Yeah.
And your big fader would be your return fader.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of set up my C24 like that. I bring my mics into the aux inputs on Pro Tools. The beauty of having a low latency system again.
Yeah.
Is you can set up all. So I'll have like 24 aux channels with my mic inputs on and plugins, compressors and EQs on.
Yeah.
And I operate it like an old-fashioned split mixing console. So my inputs are on the left-hand side and my tape returns are on the right-hand side.
Right, yeah.
And then I've got fader control, fine control to my levels. So then I'll set my mic amps. But while I'm tracking, I can have my hands on faders, and if something starts to peak, I can pull it back.
Pull it down a bit, yeah.
If it hits a quiet section of the song, I can just give it a ride, a live.
So you're doing that as you're tracking?
Yeah, sometimes.
Right,
yeah.
Interesting. Because I generally like I don't record the drums that way. I was saying, but I heard someone talking about it, and I thought it was interesting whether that is the way you should be doing it. And
yeah, and it just helps you mixing, doesn't it? You're adding to the dynamic. You're part of the performance.
Yeah.
As an engineer, and riding levels to tape. It's back from the analog days again because of hiss. So you're always looking to get your optimum signal to noise ratio on tape.
Yeah.
The more level you got on tape, the less hiss you got.
Right.
Because the higher the signal is, the quieter the tape hiss.
So I'm guessing you started on tape, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us some stories about tape recording? Because I've never actually had to do it.
It was hard work, and things took a lot longer. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they necessarily sounded better.
Well, the tape was expensive as well, wasn't it?
Say the first session I got on arrived Jacob's studio, and they had a Mitsubishi 32-track digital, which was one of the first 1-inch digital machine, 32 tracks on it, and then they had a 24-track analog machine hooked up to it. So they'd do all the drums and the bass and things like that onto the analog machine, and the vocals and the keyboards and strings, acoustic guitars would all be onto the digital machine.
Yeah.
All the more delicate stuff that were hiss mattered. Acoustic guitars were a classic for tape hiss. They were really difficult to deal with because you couldn't gate it off because you lost the sustain on the acoustic. Mm-hmm. So if you tried to use a noise gate, it always closed before the acoustic finally died away. And a lot of old records you hear as an acoustic note's dying off, you hear the tape hiss coming up at the end.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do anything about it. The only way to get rid of tape hiss was by using Dolby, which used to be really expensive.
Yeah.
But that was, for me, if I was going to do analog now, it'd have to be top end Studer 2-inch 24-track. I can't remember what the model number is, whatever the last one they made was. And with Dolby SR on every channel.
Right.
Then the latest tape mattered as well. You used to line up the tape. When I first started, you'd line up the tape to plus 6 dB above zero, which meant you could get an extra 6 dB onto the tape. Mm-hmm. Because they made the tape to different tolerances. So Ampeg used to they made 4, 5, 6, and you'd line it up to plus 6. Then a few years later, they brought out a new kind of tape, 996 or something. It was called, and you could line that up to plus 9.
Right.
Because that meant you got 3 dB less hiss on your tape. And analog tape, they managed to make it louder and louder. Right. So you'd have to have the latest GP9, the latest last 2-inch tape. I think they still make it in limited numbers these days.
Yeah.
But it'd have to be that top-end tape, which is not cheap, 500 quid a reel probably.
Bloody hell. Is that much
15
money?
minutes. Yeah,
Jesus.
15 minutes of 24 tracks.
You can understand why studios sessions were costing people millions. Do you know what I mean?
And so you had 2 reels for every track.
Yeah.
Often you had to have a backup, so you had 4 reels for every track.
Wow.
Because you'd have to copy the tapes at the end of the night.
So you're looking at $2,000 in tape for a set, like in just one song.
And your half-inch tape at the end of it for mastering, 50 quid a reel.
Jesus.
And you got
it's a lot easier now, isn't it?
30 ips. If you didn't have Dolby, you ran at 30 inches per second.
Right.
So you got 15 minutes on a reel of tape. If you had Dolby SR, you could run at 15 ips, half speed, so you'd get half an hour on a tape.
Right. Okay.
But
I've never understood this because I've always used like tape emulator plugins and stuff like that. What is the IPS? What do they do?
Inches per second.
So
it's how fast.
But sound-wise, so what would I be looking for when I'm using that on a mix?
So the slower domestic machines, like you'd start off with a Fostex E16 1-inch 16-track machine, or a half-inch 16-track it was. That would be in like your sort of mid-range studios, and they'd run at 15 hips, and they'd be pretty hissy.
Right.
And the pro studios would be running a 2-inch, so 2-inch wide tape with 24 tracks on it. So the wider the track, the more level you can put on the tape.
Right.
So the 2-inch was as wide as it'd go without flexing. So the standard was 2-inch 24 track. And they'd done it at 30. So 50, if you could run a 2-inch 24 track at 15 hips and you'd get more hiss.
So if you want to bring in more tape noise, you'd use the 15 on those plugins?
Yeah.
Right.
If you wanted it to sound better, you'd use 30.
Right, got you.
Because tape hiss wasn't good. I don't understand why people want tape hiss these days. Same reason people put vinyl crackles.
Vinyl is the whole vinyl thing, isn't
people
it?
People put vinyl crackles on the mix, don't they?
Yeah.
The bands I worked with before, the bloody vinyl crackles on every mix.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get the master engineer saying there's a pop on your track there. I've got rid of it for you. Don't worry. I've declicked it.
Yeah. I've run it straight.
It sounds like digital
RX
clicks underneath it. If you want vinyl noise, put it on vinyl and play it on a record player.
Yeah.
You don't have vinyl noise on a
I think sometimes
MP3.
people get stuck in like old traditions, don't they? Yeah. So, anyway, back to music. So should we do like how would you mic a drum kit and how would I mic a drum kit, and we'll see what the differences are and where I'm falling short.
I've got more mics than you.
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, maybe not.
I've got a fair collection of mics.
I don't
here.
do massive. I do quite a lot of mics. If it's a standard drum kit with a rack tom and a floor tom, I'd have 2 on the kick, one inside, up about an inch from the skin, right in the middle where the beater is, and then one by the hole, right in the middle of the hole, just on the outside.
So what do you do in situations with like that drum kit there, where the hole is like small and angled off to the right hand side?
That one's actually all right because it holds up, which when they're really on the bottom, you can't get a mic into them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only up because I twisted it round.
I'll take the front skin off a lot when I record drums. Yeah, I prefer it with the front skin off.
Right.
Which is totally against what a lot of people like these days.
Yeah. I always find kick drum mics.
And I put a pad in the kick, which is a no-no these days.
No, I'd still do that. There's a cushion in that
one.
That's like a 26-inch kick though, so it's massive.
I've worked with a few other producers recently where I had the front skin on with no hole and the mic on the outside in the middle of the front skin.
Yeah.
And nothing in the kit, no padding, nothing in it.
Yeah.
And he went mad when I put a cushion in it. I won't name him.
And did it sound better?
It sounded better with the cushion in it. And for me, it sounded better when I took the front skin off.
Yeah.
And,
I've never tried taking the front skin off entirely, though. I've got to be
honest.
Yeah.
If the hole's not right, then you've got to get it off to get the mic in there. And there's the placement of that inside mic. I don't think the front skin makes that much difference to the sound.
Yeah. So you wouldn't lie a mic inside it?
I have done in the past. Just laid it on a cushion inside because I didn't have a stand that would reach.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get the thing in the hole or whatever, so I've put it in and laid it on the cushion. But then you find it just moves. You've got to check it's there every take because it moves with the air pressure.
Yeah.
And half the time you finish a really good take and you go and look and the kick drum mic's drop down the side.
Yeah.
Then you have to trigger it.
So mic inside, mic outside. How far from the lack of skin, but the edge of the
right in the middle, pretty much on the perimeter of the outside of the drum, lined up just outside it.
Right. Okay.
The further back you come, the more spill you're going to get on it, and the more room it's going to get on it.
So do you find because you've got the mic inside closer to the head, do you get phasing issues with that?
No, and we adjust them slightly so you don't.
Right. Okay.
Always check the phasing once you get it in there, and I'll move the outside one slightly if it's phasing.
Yeah.
When I'm listening to it, and I'll get the assistant to move it while I'm listening to it. I'll get the user if you got an assistant game in the other room on the headphones on the talkback, and having just move it back an inch or half an inch.
Yeah.
Move it forward half an inch, whatever, until it's right. It's only like tiny amounts usually to get the phase. Yeah. It's pretty small. It's not a lot. And most of the time, though, you get it right first time and it sounds right.
Yeah.
Just by experience, I guess.
Yeah.
You just place them and you go and listen and it's right.
Because I've seen some people put the outside mics like 2 foot away from the kick.
Yeah, then I've got other mics that do that if you want that sound. If you've got a bit of that sound, so I'd have then other extras. I'll have 2 on the snare, one either side, usually a 57 on one side and then maybe a clip-on mic or something on the other side, just to get the side stick.
2 on the top?
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Just because when they go to side stick, it's always on the opposite side to where the mic is.
Right, okay.
And also the second reason is it gives you a good backup. If the drummer smacks the other mic with a stick, which they often do, you've got the backup mic. If there's something wrong with one of them, you've always got another one on the top, and then I'll have a 57 underneath it in the middle, right up against the grill, up against the rattler thing.
Yeah.
Then top mic the toms. I don't bother double micing the toms these days. Used to.
Yeah.
Used to mic them top and
I
bottom.
used to
But
mic top
maybe
and
if it was a
bottom
rock
as
band, I'd double mic them. If it was a proper big rock band and they wanted,
Yeah.
and he had like 25 toms, that was a big thing. Maybe I'd mic them top and bottom.
Yeah.
Or sometimes on a track that's heavy on the floor tom, some tracks and the drummer's on the floor tom all the way through the track, I might mic that top and bottom then.
Yeah.
Just because it's a bit of a feature of the track. Then I'll have overheads. Usually I put my overheads in like 45 degrees right in the middle of the kit.
Do you?
2.5 drumsticks above the snare.
Right, okay.
That's in like a V shape, 45 degrees. So that's your left hand side and that's your right hand side.
Is that because of phase?
The pan's opposite way around. So I like them like that. I don't like the spaced.
See, I've always
so
done
much.
space, so it might be worth trying your
And
way.
I like the V. And I tried the space once a few times, and the snare's never quite in the middle.
Yeah.
That's for me. So you have your overheads up, and the snare sort of sounds slightly one-sided or something. And that's the reason really that I do that. It's because then it's above your snare, and your snare you're going to have equal snare in both mics. Plus, it's going to pick up your cymbals nicely.
Yeah.
If he's got a lot of cymbals, I'll often mic the ride up individually and have a close mic right by the bell on the mic, just so I can get that ping off the bell and bring that in. And I'll only use it when he's actually playing it. I won't have it in the mix otherwise. I'll edit it out or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll bring that in. And if he's got extra excessive cymbals, I might put 2 wide overheads up as extra ones, like kind of outside the kit, pointing in, to get an extra width, extra wide stereo on the overheads. Then I'll always have a one behind the drummer's head, SM58 normally, as close to his head as I can.
So is that not quite close to where your overheads would be anyway, though?
Yeah, but you get less cymbals on it, and it's 58.
So using SM58 for that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Flood told me that.
Really?
He said that's the way he does it every time.
Right.
And the reason he did it was because of the John Bonham having a mic dangling around his neck.
Right.
When he was supposed to be the Led Zeppelin sound.
Yeah.
He had a 58 wrapped around his neck, dangling down as he was playing, and that's the closest you can get to it.
Right, fair
without it dangling down. So 50 and pretty heavily compressed as well. That, and it is great mic that you pretty much. That could be the kit on its own.
Yeah.
Often I'll put that mic up and I'll be like, yeah, that's the mic, and I'll blend the others in around that mic.
Interesting. I usually do a shoulder mic, so like a mic just off their right shoulder facing towards the snare.
Yeah, that's similar.
Yeah.
It's getting closer. I try and get it above his head, as close as I can without him smacking his head every time he stands up.
Yeah.
And but it's similar on the shoulder, isn't it? Then what else do I put on it? Then I'll have an MS pair in front of the kit, about 3 foot in front of the kit, which gets the kick, that outside kick sound. It picks that up really well. And I'll have it low. I'll have it in line with the toms.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of not getting all the cymbals.
Yeah, so it's not getting as much cymbals, and that gives you a nice tight room sound.
Yeah.
And then I'll have my other rooms mics as far away as possible, as high as possible.
Right. Okay.
Depending how big the room is, and I'll just literally put them in the far corners of the room as far away as I can. Often pointing at the ceiling.
Yeah, so pointing
away from the kit up at the ceiling. Just and then that's a good room sound. If I missed off, that's probably it, isn't it?
Hi-hat mic?
Oh, a hi-hat mic, yeah. Don't always use it, but I'll always put one on there.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Same as me.
Depends on the drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually good, the hi-hat mic.
What mic's used for the snare?
57s mostly.
Yeah, top and bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried 414s. Quite good. Quite like a 414.
I've got the Beta 57, which I quite like.
Yeah, Beta 57 is better.
It's got a bit more low end to it.
Yeah, they have. They are slightly better, the Betas.
Yeah.
Not that much in them, though, is there really?
Yeah.
I don't think.
I don't know. I do hear the difference.
There's a bit in them. Yeah, there is a bit in them. The 57s vary. I remember doing a session years ago, a strong room, Brian Eno. I was T-Boy. And he came in and he put 57 on the snare. And then he went up to me and said, I want to buy that 57.
Right.
It's the best 57 I've ever heard.
Really?
He wanted to buy it off the studio. They wouldn't sell it to him.
Yeah.
He said, it's the best one you've ever heard. We're not selling it.
I heard a story about a guy miking a guitar amp with a 57 for years, and he couldn't ever get the guitar sound he was trying to get, and he worked out, he eventually figured out his 57 was broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah, so have I.
I had a 57, I was using it for ages on the bottom snare, and then I put it on a guitar and realised it was broke.
Well, at least you were putting it on the
On
bottom
the bottom
snare.
snare, it was
Yeah.
all right. I know. And it was like, I was used it on the bottom snare, and then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, then put it back on the bottom snare. It sounded all right on that.
Have you seen that trick with the 57 where you can unscrew the middle of it and then twist it round to an L shape and then put tape round it?
Right.
And then you can put it under the hi-hat, so you're completely rejecting the hi-hat sounds.
Right.
I've seen someone do that and it looked quite interesting. That I wanted to try.
It's cancelling it out.
Yeah, so because the hi-hat's directly behind it, because it fits
Yeah.
in that space now, it
Yeah.
completely cancels out the hi-hat bleed.
Yeah, right. That might be worth trying.
Yeah.
Never had much luck with trying to cancel signals.
No.
You know what I mean?
Do you ever do the crotch mic?
No.
No. A lot of people rate that massively, don't they? I've seen loads of people use that as a
Yeah.
technique for mic and drums.
No. Never done that.
I
What
guess
is it?
that would be as close to your head mic, though, wouldn't it?
I guess so.
Yeah.
But you literally put the mic in his crotch.
Well, literally, you face it through the middle, directed at the snare, but it's like figure of eight pattern.
Right, okay, yeah. I've done that a few times, actually, with an Aston Spirit. It sets a figure eight, and I've put that diagonally right in the middle of the kit.
Yeah.
As close to the middle of the kit as I could, and put it on figure of eight. It was pretty good as well.
Yeah, well, it just picks up everything, doesn't it? So
yeah,
you got...
yeah. And
Yeah.
It's similar to the back one.
But there's so many techniques in there. Like, there's a technique of putting a cymbal on the floor in front of the kit and putting a salt shaker mic in front of it.
Yeah.
And that gives you like a really kind of rough,
Sizzle.
rocky sound.
Quite like when they put things on the cymbals, like
Yeah.
beads and things like that. I think gives it that.
They trail off, yeah.
You get cymbals, don't you, with loads of rivets in them.
Yeah.
They're always quite good. I quite like them.
So what would be your go-to for bass then?
U47.
Oh, yeah.
If you could get one.
Yeah.
FET version or the Valve version. Or anything big and chunky, really. Like your vocal mic's often probably pretty good on a bass.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're using for vocals, or any chunky Valve mic work well on a bass.
Yeah.
I've used my AKG tube. I've used that Rode Classic I've got. And I also use the D12 Bullet or the old AKG D1112 Bullet, D112. And the old square one's the D12 in it. Either of those both work well.
Yeah.
The Bullet's probably better, I think, than the older one because you get a bit more top end and a bit more definition out of it.
Yeah.
And that's probably what I go to mostly if I don't have a 47.
Right, yeah, fair enough. I've been using the Audix D6 on it recently.
Yeah, they're all right. And I'm not. A lot of people rave about those D6s. I tried them on a kick drum and I didn't like it. I've never used one since.
Yeah, I tried it on a kick drum, didn't like it. And
Yeah.
I ended up buying that Lewitt one I was showing you, the 640.
Yeah,
XT,
that
I
looks
think
good.
it
That I
is.
want to hear that.
Yeah.
That looks good.
So do you get DI bass?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Always, and you mostly use that in the mix, really. Depends on the band and what sort of sound they've got.
Yeah.
I kind of Sans amp it as well with the Sans amp plugin.
Yeah, that's one thing I miss about
I like the Sans
Logic.
amp
You
plugin.
don't get it in Pro Tools. In Logic, I mean.
And the real Sans amp as well.
Yeah.
The real, when I was working in LA last year, he had an old Sans amp in his rack.
There was someone selling
The
one on
bass went through
Facebook a
that a
couple of
lot.
weeks ago. I was really tempted to get it.
And they're worth having. I'd buy a real one just to record bass through.
Yeah.
They're good. Just not too much, just a touch of overdrive on them, and
Yeah.
they just sound good on a bass.
Growly.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
that growl, and I'll put it on a separate track. Really, I'd always have the DI clean on
Yeah.
the bass track because I use that as my solid bottom end mostly,
Yeah, yeah.
and the amp will be the more of the drive top end stuff, and I'll be filtering off the real low stuff from it,
Yeah.
and you can just control the DI better. And if you got a decent Fender precision, that's the sound.
Yeah, everyone.
That's the sound, isn't
It's
it?
just on everything, innit? For
Yeah.
D bass.
So it's
So while we're on guitars, what would you do to mic up a guitar?
57
Would you?
majority of the time.
Just one mic?
I've got lazy lately. I used to put multiple mics and do it all over the place, but then I found every time I came to the mix, I'd have 6 tracks of guitars and I'd just
Yeah.
use the 57.
Do you know what I saw this week? And I've
So
never
I
seen it
kind of just
before.
given up and use a 57 now.
Well, I saw for the first time this week, I've never seen one before. It's a combiner, right? So it's a 500 series module that goes in your rack. And if you have 2 guitar mics, you go to that and it combines the 2 into one signal that goes
Right.
into your... So
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to look for something
And
like that.
I'd do that when I'm tracking often. If I've got 2 mics, I'll just print it to one track
Yeah.
So since you got Pro Tools, you don't do that so much because you think I've got loads of
You might
tracks
as
and
well
don't
just keep
have
them
to.
all,
Well, on tape, that's what we used to do.
Because I have found, like, mixing this Cry for Mercy project, because we did loads of guitar takes, and I had a talkback mic in the guitar as well. I had a DI, the two. So you end up, and sometimes they're doing like 7 guitar tracks in one song.
Exactly.
So you've got like layers and layers of guitar, and I'm trying to get back to the sound I had recording them. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to look for something like that, because I think that
I'd use one of them though, an SM7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's only 57 and Neumann. You've
57 or an SM7, I think, or they're pretty similar, aren't they? I think on a guitar they sound quite similar.
Yeah,
and I'd definitely try that on the guitar.
I do want to get the Royal 121 though.
Yeah,
I do like the sound of them.
I don't like mics back on a guitar amp. I like it right up against the speaker.
Yeah,
I don't like to have any room sound.
Yeah.
So I'm dead on it.
Closest to the
close to putting it in that cupboard you've got's good.
Yeah,
put a blanket over it a lot of the time. If it was in here, I definitely was miking that up now. I'd put a blanket over it.
Would you?
Yeah. Put something on to stop the room mic coming on the mic.
Right.
Because it would be too roomy in here. I'd either put screens round, if you had screens.
Yeah.
Or I'd put a blanket over it.
What, for you mean for the live stream we're doing tomorrow?
No, just for recording.
For recording?
So, if we were tracking a guitar.
So why would you need to do that in here?
Just so you don't get any of the room sound, because it's quite a big room. For a guitar, you want it put it in a booth and
that's why we made that booth.
Deaden it. Yeah. So like if it was often though, if you're in a session like this with the live band in the room, you come to it, you wouldn't want to move the amp. You'd just let's get the guitars done. And you'd leave it mic'd up.
I create
and just chuck a blanket over it quickly because it would stop it.
Yeah, because the way we tracked that day was we had the guitar day for a weekend for 2 days. So I ended up putting all the amps around everywhere, micing them all up.
Yeah.
So you could just keep swapping between them, trying to get different tones.
Yeah, that's what you want to do as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah. You'd always baffle it off though. In the big studios, you see the pictures of Stones in Olympic.
Yeah,
guitar amps are always booted off. They've always got the baffles around them, haven't they? And they're all in a big room, but everything's made smaller.
Yeah,
because you don't want that room sound on everything. Once you record it, you can't get rid of it.
Yeah,
no matter how much you gate it or whatever, it's always there.
Yeah, my plan is to make a few more of them on wheels as we can keep in here on baffles.
Yeah.
So you can just move them around to wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need.
Yeah. Did you ever use a sub-kick mic?
A few times. Don't like them that much.
Do you not?
They're all right, but I find I've got too much bottom end generally.
Right.
On my kick mics, I'm trying to get rid of a bit, not add more.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had a tiny bass drum, some of those little jazz drum kits that you get,
then
I'd more like to use it.
Yeah.
But generally, a kick drum's got so much bottom end, you want to get rid of some, not add it.
No, I mean, we'll have to do, I reckon, a drum day and do a YouTube video about miking techniques and stuff like that and what's it for.
We should get people to leave a few comments about what sort of videos they'd like to see.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you've got any
comments on the YouTube videos or comments in Facebook or whatever, and say what you want to see, we'll do it for you.
Because we're quite happy to do some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But I think that about rounds up the second episode, doesn't it?
Brilliant.
So if you liked it, please like and subscribe, and we'll be back next week with some more questions. If you've got any questions, just put them in the comments. And we are going to do mix reviews as well. I just haven't got around to actually asking anyone for them yet, so we should probably try and do something about that for next week, shouldn't we?
Send us your mixes if you've got any.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.